Good afternoon from Omaha, Nebraska. I woke up this morning and I told myself that I need to say something regarding the events that have been taking place back home in McCarty. I am happy, I am pleased that at last we have a governor that is the people's governor, is somebody that wants to work for the people, but not the other way around like it has always been. Right from the day go when Father Alia, the governor of Benue State, was sworn in on the 29th of May, he quickly, the next day, went to the state secretariat and saw the deplorable condition of that structure, which is the pride of Benue, led for us by former Governor Apeaku. And he quickly instructed for it to be rehabilitated and rebranded, which I believe there's an ongoing work on it. He went to Radio Benue, did the same thing. And if I'm right, or if I'm correct, I heard that the programming at Radio Benue is quite better than the day before May 29th, which is something to rejoice about. He then went to Benue Links, and just last week, or would I say of recent, he earmarked a certain amount of money out of the palliatives that he got from the federal, that he's going to give from the federal government, to buy 100 buses to refurbish and improve on the services of Benue Links. Benue Links of lately had become like a death trap. You know, you cannot get in that vehicle going somewhere and not think about either being broken down on the highway or having an accident. Both instances will be detrimental, will be horrible, because either you are crushed, you are dead, or someone is died, or if there's an accident, or it's broken down on the road. And the condition back home now, where there's terrorists, there's gunmen, there's all those dangerous people all over the place, you wouldn't want either a commercial or a personal vehicle to break you on any Nigerian highway. It's a good thing that he's heading for. He earmarked some of the money to pay WAEC fees and NECO fees for people working or studying in government or public institutions. And most importantly, I think there is a steady stream of salary payments and pension payments. I know they are not coming as fast and quick as the public wants, but you know, we need to give kudos where it belongs, where it comes from, because if we were not being paid at all in the past 4 years, but now you got something that is coming every month, that will enable you to be able to budget, plan, and live a life that is much better than the day before May 29th of this year. I have always have my worries, and my worries have always been about our motherland, our land, the one that our ancestors have left us with, which is something that we cannot allow it to slip out of our hands now, during our time, because our younger future generations will blame us and they will ask the question that where were we when this was taking place? My worries is the Fulani question. There has been speculations and a lot of talk about how the killings that have taken place in Benue in the last 4, 5, 6 years was not Fulani. It was us, the Benue indigenes, that turned against ourselves, which personally, I really don't believe it, because I have seen or heard the evidence that points directly to the herdsmen. What are we going to do about herdsmen? You know, I know we did pass the anti-open grazing legislation, and some people think it's not working, but I strongly believe it's working, because there are some incarcerations, there are some military or police detentions of people that are causing that, and I think most of them that have been apprehended were of the Fulani origin. The crux of the issue is our grass. The herders want our grass so bad that, you know, and I think not just the Benue grass, but most importantly, they yearn to have our grass and push us off to be refugees so that they can settle and take over our land, of which we're not going to allow that. We passed the anti-grazing legislation, which has caused tremendous change to the herders. They don't roam around in Benue like they used to. They could be roaming around on the edges of the state, the boundaries of the state, but they don't penetrate as deep as they used to be. Knowing what they do, knowing where and what they want, we'll have to come out with a formula, come out with a way to stop the encroachment and reason to take over our land. And for that, I say that he who desires Benue grass must buy it. It's my suggestion that if you want our grass, come and buy it. How will you be able, or how can we make the grass available for anybody else to get it, to buy it? I believe that as much as we came up with the anti-open grazing legislation, it is smart and is good for us to also come out with alternative feeding methods to encourage the herders to settle in one place and stop going about looking for grass. Because the feeding system in animal production in Nigeria is largely open grazing. And like I earlier said, Benue in 2017 legislated the open grazing method out. I require cattle to be reared in a ranching system. Though the legislation has been challenged by herders, largely the Fulani herders, at the detriment of farmers who have lost a great deal of lives and property. Since Benue had championed ranching in Nigeria, like I said earlier, it is wise for her to also champion alternate means of animal confinement and feeding as well. One of such feeding methods, I would say, which is commonly used all over the world, is ranching. And to ranch, you must make hay. And hay is made out of grass, legume, herbaceous plants that have been cut and dried to be stored for use as animal feed in the dry season or winter, in the case of, let's say here in Nebraska. Hay production in Benue shall be very, very simple, because we already have indigenous species like alufu. You know, we have domesticated crops like corn, which could also be used for hay. We have soybeans, we have foxtails, we have alfalfa, we have a host of other crops that could be turned into hay, you know. And once we start producing hay, it will enable herders to produce healthier animals. It will greatly reduce the incidences of cattle rustling and wild animals attack on the herds, and most importantly, it will curb to a greater degree the conflict between farmers and the nomadic livestock herders in Benue and Benue Valley at large. Hay production has been my interest since my undergraduate years at Western Michigan University, where I got a Bachelor of Science degree in agricultural distribution and further worked with Michigan State University for 5 years in crop production and hay production. I had also wanted to bring the knowledge and experience of these systems into the Nigerian agricultural sector. My experience of hay production at Kellogg's Biological Research Station at Hickory Corners, Michigan, for 5 years assured me confidently that the product will definitely be beneficial to ranchers, especially now that it has become necessary to confine animals and the urgent need to stop the encroaching of the Sahel into the savanna due to overgrazing of livestock by nomadic herders and extensive farming. Hay as a market commodity will provide income for farmers, employment for the youth, and tax revenue for our state, like Benue's semen once was. There is available market for the product in the whole of West Africa, sub-region, and beyond. There are several varieties of forages or grass that are suitable to be used for hay production in Benue. The common type that have not been used but are consumed and have potential to be domesticated grass to be used to make hay is called in Tip the alufu. It is very nutritious and wisely found in Benue. In addition to alufu, we have found the following crops, suitable to grow and turn into hay in Benue, like cowpeas, like foxtails, like Lucina, Bermuda grass, and like I say, feed. It's pretty easy, to make hay. All you need is you have a tractor, you have a hay cutter, you have a hay rake, and between the month of October and November will be the suitable period here in the tropics to make hay. It's just a window of only 2 months to make hay. But we could have alternative solution to that by producing hay during the dry season, by having an extensive irrigation system where we can, grow these crops, cut them, and bale them. I think Benue has ample land to establish hay farms. Like we have all those land development schemes that Apereco had for land development in agriculture, where we had like Belegbun, we had like Kyogenkado Ranch, and we have agricultural farm at Matier in Burukuruka government. And beside that, we have all the lining at the borders of Benue where we could make these hay fields. And for us to do that, we're gonna have a very rigid and good security personnel, where that will enable us to deter an illegal encroaching in our state by headers who may have dubious aims to come in our state and cause mayhems. I am glad to make this presentation because I know the government of Benue State would need ideas on how we could go on and establish ourselves back to the food basket of Nigeria. And plus, this proposal that I'm enumerating would help us tremendously in curbing the herders-farmers conflict. Because if you have a feeding system that is available rather than having open or feeding areas for herders, there will be more conflict than ever, because even if they were feeding ranches or areas they have been already been encroached on. And so if you have something like hay to sell out to sell them to cattle rearers, they'll be willing and able to settle and create ranches to raise their own animal. And while they do that, they'll be able to settle down, raise a family, and maybe put their children in school and try to eliminate their nomadic lifestyles. There is a huge market of hay in Nigeria and West Africa at large. From where I come from Illinois through Iowa to Nebraska and Missouri and South and North Dakota, these are the states in the United States where we call the Corn Belt, of which there is a high production of hay in these states. And some of these states, their major revenue is coming from hay. And they supply hay to other states as well, like New York, other places in mountainous states where there's no arable land to crop or have wide ranches. And I see Benue having been the home of hay, where we could be exporting bales and berries and thousands and millions of bales of hay to places like Sokoto, Zamfara, Kano, Borno, where the land is not conducive for even open grazing because of the encroachment of the Sahel vegetation. It will be a great idea to come up with a means to replace what we had with Benue Cement in years past, because we cannot continue to depend on revenues coming in from the oil production in the South, and also just taxes on Benue indigenes and farmers and businessmen. This idea is also going to be set on paper, and I hope the Benue State government may either have to create a parasata or have a company that can help in establishing hay production farms as an experimental farms for farmers to see and learn from. I am Samuel Ako, and if you have a question to ask about hay production, feel free to call me at 402-677-8220. Thank you.